Here's Jeff Marek, the host of The Sheet, daily on the Nation Network. He joins us Fridays. Hello. How are you?
I am well. How are you two gentlemen doing? How is everyone doing with the rebuild?
Oh, the rebuild's going swimmingly. It's just so easy.
Just tearing it down, like the tearing down part. And it's the fun part. Hey, let's take down this wall. Is this a supporting wall? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's just take it down. Why not? Yeah, sure. It's the building up part that's tough. That's the heavy lift.
I think patience is starting to wear a little thin here, Jeff, and not necessarily because they've lost 9 in a row, but because they haven't actually made a move since the Quinn Hughes trade. And Kiefer Sherwood got hurt earlier this week. So there's that.
Do you believe the old business saying that patience is action?
Patience?
I'm not familiar with
No.
it. Who articulated is that
Patience. This is it's an old business saying, not to rush into anything just for the sake of making moves and looking busy, but actually being patient is actually part of the action process. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? And
Yeah,
I specifically with Vancouver, obviously, like the here too. Brian Burke was on with me yesterday talking about this. Once the whole league knows what's up and knows what you're doing, it becomes that much more difficult to get full value for your assets. Not saying that you can't do it, but when everybody knows what the score is, you know, the pirates tend to come out. You know, Brian loves talking about pirates.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what's happening with Kiefer Sherwood. And Kiefer Sherwood hasn't helped the process here with a goal-scoring drought as well. But everybody knew what Kiefer Sherwood was, I think, to some degree. He's outperformed his career in the last couple of seasons. Not going to take that away from him. But he's still Kiefer Sherwood. And I think teams knew that if they just waited out, like, ultimately the price would come down. The chances of Kiefer Sherwood staying on a 40-goal pace was pretty low. And those teams seem to have won the day. It doesn't sound like you're going to get a first-round pick for Kiefer Sherwood anymore.
I'm not so sure about that, to be honest with you, because we still have time. And there's still the reality of teams getting injured and staying in the hunt, and we need a replacement, and we've got a lot of picks. Maybe we have multiple picks in this year's first round. Maybe we can throw one away in a couple of years. We're right close to the playoffs. The owner's putting pressure on me. We're close. We have to get in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So right now, like, obviously, Blake, you're 100% right. Right now, the marketplace is saying no to a first-round pick. But again, if you believe patience is action, then be patient, and maybe the action happens in a month here, when there's a whole new reality leading into deadline. I'm still in the camp of Vancouver can get a first for Kiefer Sherwood.
I'm with you, in part because it's a $1.5 million salary, so everybody can add easy peasy. But I am starting to wonder this. Like, number one, I do think the Canucks would prefer young players, like we saw, like a Liam Ogren, Zeev William. Like, I think they prefer those sorts of players over first-round picks, particularly future first-round picks, like beyond 2026. Secondly, can you still do the conditional trades? Like, we trade you so-and-so, and it's a second-round pick, but it becomes a first if you make the conference final or something?
Yeah.
I wonder if that sort of structure is also potentially going to be in play here for Kiefer Sherwood if the Canucks can't get exactly what they're looking for, and if people are too hesitant to peel that first-round pick.
I think what's working in Vancouver's favor here is the fact that there are so many teams that are in it that you might not even need those contingencies, right? Like, maybe I'm too far away from it. You guys are right there, but I look at this marketplace right now and say, if I'm a team that thinks we're going to go far in the Stanley Cup playoffs, if I can get Kiefer Sherwood and attach contingencies to it, yeah, hallelujah. But my desire to have Kiefer Sherwood in the lineup hasn't diminished whatsoever, despite the lack of goal scoring, and a deep understanding of how important third lines are to you in the NHL, and the fact that if I don't get him, what if the guy down the street does? Essentially, I don't think you're going to win the Stanley Cup by picking up Kiefer Sherwood, but you don't want the guy next door to have him either. And he's going to be really inexpensive to put into your lineup. It's a simple play.
Yeah, and he plays physically, and all GMs and coaches love physicality in the playoffs. And also, I mean, the whole reason he is a Vancouver Canuck is because he looks so darn good for the Nashville Predators in that first-round series a couple of years ago. All the Canucks players were saying, everybody here who was watching that series went, who is that Sherwood guy? He was like Nashville's best player over the series. It was the damnedest thing.
Do you? I know we've talked a lot about Nashville and Kiefer Sherwood. Do you not think that the Anaheim Ducks could use Kiefer Sherwood back?
Well, the Anaheim Ducks could use a lot right now. They've got.
I know they could. I mean, absolutely. That back end is the biggest issue, but still, I mean, that's another one. Everyone who was there, the way the story was told to me is, after 1 year, guys in Anaheim all getting together to talk about the lineup and gushing over how Kiefer Sherwood has turned into a certain type of player, and the question quickly turned to, why did we let him go?
Yeah.
And what can we do to get him back? I do wonder about Anaheim here.
Wow. Is it just us in this market that parses the Canucks messaging here from rebuild, quick rebuild 1 or 2 years to retool a little bit in a hybrid for him to now we're rebuilding, but 2 to 3 years? Like it's going
to be a 2 or 3 year rebuild, but we actually began it 2 to 3 years ago.
2 to 3 years ago, and oh, by the way, I'm committed through the end of next year, but I'm not sure beyond that. Rutherford, are we the only ones who parse this, or does the rest of the league look at this and go, "What in the world is happening in me?"
But the thing is, like, the rest of the NHL world does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I've always found it strange that the NHL is populated by, generally people that played the game. Like, this is a rough, tough, take no prisoners, physical style of game where you have to be tough every time you're off the ice. And then the minute they take off the skates, they get scared of things like offer sheets and, wait for it, words. Managers are terrified to say the word rebuild. I do suppose that part of it must be owners don't like saying that word because it tells your fan base to stay away for a while. Oh, we're under construction. Don't worry about cheer for a few years. And I understand that. But man, it has been fun. And it's not, again, this is not exclusive to Vancouver. Vancouver is just the most recent example. I find it endlessly amusing how managers will twist themselves into a Gordian knot just to not say the word rebuild.
Which brings us to this flash of genius last week, and I was supposed to ask you about it last Friday, and I didn't.
Okay.
See how wide-eyed he got when I said flash of genius?
Yeah.
I know.
So we're just discussing all of this, and Jeff, we've had the rebuild, retool, and then your addition to this conversation, the renovation.
The renovation, yeah.
This guy last week is in mid-sentence talking about all this with the Canucks and drops the word...
reload?
How do you like reload? How does reload strike you as an
reload
alternative
implies
for
a very, very brief pause as we clean our muskets and get ready to go.
Yeah, but you're in the war. You're still in the war.
But we're still in our trenches here. We're gonna go over the top, but hold on a second here.
It's manly. You're dirty.
In the trenches at Verdun reload.
None of this retooling. It makes it sound like you're like a audio-visual guy, taking apart a toaster.
Going to reload. I like it. I think but the thing that I keep coming back to is this idea that every team is rebuilding because every team changes, right? Whether you want to call it rebuild or we're adding or we're reloading, whatever you want to call it, the reality is every team changes. It only depends on which direction you're headed at the temporary. Like I look at things like development and rebuilding teams kind of like bunny hops, right? You take two hops forward and then 3 steps backwards and then 1 step forward. Like none of it is linear and none of it generally goes as expected. But aren't all teams rebuilding?
Well, they should be.
Teams that are going to win the Stanley Cup this year are going to rebuild on trade deadline day.
We have heard.
I always bring up the Boston Bruins here, Jeff. It's been 20 years of competitiveness for the Boston Bruins. Like,
Yeah.
They didn't have the same guys for 20 years. They're constantly changing over, and you should be running out of draft picks and young prospects if you're constantly just buying. They haven't been. They've sold off at various times to get more assets and to get young players that grow back into the roster.
Brandon Carlo.
Yeah, exactly.
It helps when you have Patrice Bergeron and Zdeno Chara.
It's a good core, yeah.
Now they're still sort of, maybe what's the best term for it, coasting on the fumes of those that came before, because it doesn't end right away. Like when Bergeron retires or Chara gets dealt, like it doesn't end right away. They can still surf on the David Pasternaks and then Brad Marchands before he got moved to the Florida Panthers, and the Charlie McAvoys and Jeremy Swaymans, etc. But that was the height of their glory.
It does go away when you trade away Miller and Hughes, though. Just so you know. You trade away Miller and Hughes, it does go away right away.
I understand how things get more difficult, which is probably even a more true testament to how great the Boston Bruins have been for a number of years here. But look, it happened to Detroit, right? And look, by the end, like the cupboards were barren. There were no draft picks on the shelf, and we all knew, okay, it's a matter of time before the Detroit Red Wings really play, hide and go seek, and you can't find them. And now it's to the point where we don't even call that arena a new rink anymore. It's just a rink where they haven't had a playoff game. Can I pause on Detroit here? Because I've thought a lot about Detroit with the Vancouver Canucks, and I wonder if Steve Yzerman can do all his shopping with one team. He needs one forward and he needs one defenseman. And I'll tell you what. Someone mentioned this to me the other day, who was really close with the Wings organization. He said, who the Detroit Red Wings need? Philip Hronek. They need him, is who they need. They're also looking for one more forward, right? They're looking for one more top six forward. Like, they're right there, and the pressure is on from the Ilitch family to get into the playoffs, right? And it's probably the time that they can start to bundle some of their prospects, be they either players or draft picks, and start to put together what is going to be the foundation of this team, that after they make, hopefully for them, the playoffs this year, they can be a consistently strong team that grows year after year after year. So that is the one team that I wonder about here with Vancouver, because a lot of things that Steve Yzerman wants, Jim Rutherford has. That's the team I wonder. Now, there's a lot of, we all know that the teams that are interested in Kiefer Sherwood, there's always going to be surprise teams, but I really wonder about Detroit guys. I'm not sure where you're at on the Red Wings, and Rutherford and Yzerman have done deals before. You look at need, you look at what they have. They have a wonderful pipeline of players, both ready to have significant impact in the NHL, or prospects that are a couple of years away. Like, they've done a really, really good job. And you look at what Grand Rapids has done this year. I mean, it's a juggernaut team. Like, the development from the minor league system has been outstanding. I wonder about Detroit here, guys.
Hronek is young enough; he can survive the rebuild load tool.
Sounds better and better.
But if you're telling me Axel Sandin Pelech is coming the other way for Philip Hronek, I get a little bit more interested.
That's what I'm kind of going with here. Like, run down. Like, they've done a really great job, and I still think that even though he's had a step backwards here, Marco Kasper is going to be an outstanding center long term, not first line center, but second line center long term in the NHL. It just hasn't happened for him this season. But Detroit has what Vancouver wants, and Vancouver has Detroit wants. Am I too foolish here in just saying
no?
This is like Occam's razor, the easiest answer, and there it is. And Yzerman can do all of his shopping in one place.
You mentioned Hronek, and my first thought is, would Phil Hronek move his no-move clause to go back to a team where he's going to be a second-pair defenseman and not on the top power play?
Massive question. Yeah,
I don't know.
If you say to him, like, listen, this Vancouver team, to Blake's point or verbiage here, is going to be a ways away as they reload this team, whereas Detroit's a playoff team now, and poised to be a playoff team for a while, and he's familiar with the market and familiar with the organization. Everybody's a grown up. Get over the fact that they moved you once.
See,
honestly, and
you
even-
say
even
that,
your-
Jeff, and I wonder how easy it is for this particular personality to get over that, because
he ain't an easygoing guy.
he's not an easy go. Like, he's
I
an
understand.
ornery, gruff
I
guy.
understand.
He's a proud guy. Like, I think he probably was quite affected that Detroit moved him out, because remember, his name was nowhere on trade boards or anything. That was
I
a
know.
totally out of left field trade that nobody saw coming, other than maybe some Detroit guys had speculated, well, down the road here, they're going to have to make a decision with Sider and Roenick. And then the next thing you know, Yzerman had made the decision and the trade was done. I mean,
although if you're Roenick, let me come at it from a different angle then, as we play sort of fantasy trades here on January 16th.
that's what we do,
If you're
Jeff.
Roenick, to you, listen, I do it. Listen, we got time to fill every single day. I'm as guilty as anybody else. Is that, if you're Philip Roenick, an admission by the Detroit Red Wings they made a mistake? Like, do you return as the conqueror?
Conquering
you want me
Phillip.
back, do you? Right? It's like, Brett Hull would sit on the Detroit Red Wings bench. Scotty Bowman was a coach walking back and forth, and it'd be a close game. And Hull would turn around and say, "You want a goal now, Scotty? Scotty, you want a goal now? You want me to go now? You want a goal now? You looking for a goal now, Scotty? Okay, just get back to me. Let me know when you want a goal. Let me know when you want a goal." Would this be Roenick going back and saying,
I think the Canucks would have welcomed Cam Neely back with open arms.
Yeah, I think so. Hey, Boston, will you take Barry Peterson for Cam Neely?
Yeah.
Can we trade
"Can we have the
these
Kovacs
back?
guy back, please?"
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
no.
And I must say, conquering heroes and muskets, a lot of militaria on today's hit with Marek.
Old school.
we talked
I
about
feel
the
like
blue-
I'm in Valley Forge in the winter of 1777.
We'll be talking about the Blue Jackets and the Cannon. Are we gonna bonus land?
we did-
We heard
did
the
earlier
Cannon a
this
lot.
week.
Yeah, we
had Gilman
talked
on.
Cannon with
Yeah.
Gilman earlier this week. There was plenty of
Okay.
Cannon last night. I don't think we need to.
Yeah, no more.
Right.
Cannon.
No more cannons.
You know the story. You know the story of the Cannon. And Doug
We've got
McLean.
pop
Do you guys know
guns.
this one? Do you know the
Do
Cannon
tell.
story? So the Booster Club, Doug McLean tells me, the Booster Club in Columbus always wanted a cannon, where they extend the military motif, and Doug never wanted a cannon in the ring. It's like, oh, they're big, loud noises, grumble, 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 grumble. And when it was obvious to Doug that it was going to be his last days with the Blue Jackets, he signed off on the budget for the cannon.
Oh,
Oh
really?
my goodness!
As long as I don't have to
That was
listen
his
to
middle finger, was it?
Yeah, totally. It's what Doug says. Like when I knew I was getting fired, like, yeah, go get that cannon.
Go get that cannon. Set it up. Scare the bejesus
Doug
out
said
of
this is
everybody.
Last move was GM in Columbus, I think Doug mentioned.
Yeah.
Great story.
Okay, we have arrived at Easter egg. As always, Blake Price is here to help you out. This is a tag team effort. So, okay, Canucks long losing streak, but they're only halfway there, Jeff. The NHL's longest losing streak, 18 games. We mentioned it earlier in the show. Pittsburgh in 03-04 and Buffalo 20-21. What's the longest losing streak in the Stanley Cup playoffs? How many consecutive games did this franchise lose?
This franchise. Okay.
Yeah. To set the longest
St.
losing
Louis
streak
Blues.
in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We're not
St.
talking
Louis Blues.
series here. We're talking games. This team lost X number of games consecutively in the Stanley Cup
In the
playoffs.
Stanley Cup
which-
final?
In
Oh,
the Stanley Cup playoffs, which, needless to say,
okay.
man,
So-
they lost it over a long period of time. Because when you're losing these games quickly,
but you need
you're
to be good
getting
enough to get there,
eliminated,
too,
but you
so-
need to be good enough to get to the playoffs. How
So
many games?
I thought it was final because of the St. Louis Blues going there 3 years in a row after expansion and losing in four straight every single time.
Stanley Cup playoff, longest losing streak games in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Give us a is it an old record?
Era is mid 70s to
Okay.
75 to 1980.
Okay.
75 to 1980. Who would have been bad then but just made it into the playoffs? Was it Minnesota North Stars?
No, We're not looking for franchise here either. We're looking for number of games, longest losing streak in the
want the
number?
So not
Stanley
the
Cup.
team.
So 18 is the regular season record. This franchise lost X number of consecutive playoff games.
9.
Okay. Jeff?
I'll go over by 1 and say 10.
I would have guessed something like that too. And yet the Chicago Blackhawks from 75 to 80 managed to lose 16 consecutive Stanley Cup playoff games. I know. So here's how it breaks down. They lose the final 2 games to Buffalo in a 1975 quarterfinal series. They come back the next year, get swept by the Montreal Canadiens. So that's 6 in a row.
Yeah.
Jeff, you'll have to help me with this. They lost a best of 3 preliminary round.
They used to do
the
that.
New York
preliminary round.
Islanders
Yep.
in 1977. So they lost 2
correct.
straight there. Now
we're
we're
at
at
9.
now we're at 8. We're halfway home.
8, pardon me. Yes. 7.
They get swept by the Bruins in 78. And then in 79, they get swept by the Islanders. So they got swept
That's spectacular.
4 consecutive series, 3 of them being best of 7s over a 4-year period, and lost the 2 previous.
Francesco Aquilini's going, got my first round playoff gate. That's all he's thinking. Got my home games.
Here's the other crazy part.
Wow.
In 3 of those 4 years, they finished first in their division and got swept.
Wow.
In the first round. Good thing Taves and Kane got there.
Now, here's the thing that I wonder about. I'm trying to think of. So Tony Esposito would have been the main netminder. Mike Visor as well would have been. Tom Lysiak and the fumes of Stan Mikita would have been there. Like it sounds very much like a team that was just built to crawl through the regular season. There's one player that I want.
Scoring leaders:
I always
Pitt Martin, Dennis Hull, Dale Talon, amongst the scoring leaders in 75-76. That was a first place team.
I'll tell you what. There's one person I always go out of my way with that era of Chicago Blackhawk, who I feel most for, and that is Keith Magnuson, the late Keith Magnuson. Because that was the era where every team had 4 or 5 gorillas, like ready to just brawl until the wee hours of the morning. And the Blackhawks never wanted to spend on that kind of player. And Keith Magnuson had to fight all of them.
Oh, God.
Had to fight Schultz, had to fight O'Reilly, had to fight Holt, had to like all those guys. And most times it didn't go well for him.
No.
All the evidence is available on YouTube, but he stood up and he took on everybody that went into the Chicago Stadium.
Gosh.
It was the toughest way to earn your money of any person in Chicago.
Yeah.
Always go out of my way to remember like how much that guy stood up for that team. Because
there
it's
you
too
go.
cheap to go get someone that could do it significantly. Anyhow.
And that's why they lost all these playoff games, Jeff. They didn't have that enforcer. They needed a Schultz. They needed an O'Reilly. Magnuson needed help at the trade deadline. Old man Wirtz didn't get him.
They needed what they got later, and like Denny Savard and Steve Larmer and Doug Wilson and Al Secor. That's who they needed.
Poor Doug got into the end of this streak. He was a young defenseman.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh no, scarred him early.
He was there. He was there for that last run of losses. Marvelous stuff. Thank you for today, my friend. Have a great show. We'll catch up next week.
I look forward to the linguistics class in 7 days.
Yes. Reload. Muskets.
Thanks,
Yep.
Cannons.